Now, earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal had published an article detailing the cost of Bernie Sanders' plans. Now, it's not at all surprising that this analysis from the Wall Street Journal was absolute bullshit. Now, I'm going to go through some of the facts on this one to try and debunk this sort of bullshit that the Wall Street Journal is starting to peddle. Now, for one, it says that Bernie Sanders backs $18 trillion in new spending over a decade, which means that's going to be $18 trillion added to the debt. That is wrong. It's actually been fact-checked by numerous different fact-checkers, and it's been proven to be wrong. In fact, one of them was the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and they said, quote, at the moment, total healthcare spending in the United States actually runs at about $3 trillion a year. And over the next decade, if nothing changes, America will start spending over $42 trillion in healthcare over the next 10 years. Now, wait a minute now. Just on, on everything, America will be spending, just on healthcare. Just on healthcare, America will spend $42 trillion. $42 trillion. That's a little bit more than $15 trillion. I'm just saying. That's more than $18 trillion. Now, where does the $15 trillion come into? Well, I'm going to get to that a little bit later. Now, I just want to mention that with our free market private insurance, it's still going to end up costing us $42 trillion over the next 10 years. As I said, that's a bit more than 18 or 15 trillion, which is the cost, which isn't even the cost of the Sanders plan because he hasn't released the entire plan yet of how he would implement single-payer health care. Now, Sanders was actually talking to Andrea Mitchell on Tuesday about this article, and he pointed out how misleading and how ridiculous this article was. Watch.
Now, today's Wall Street Journal itemizes what they say would be the price tag of what you are proposing, the social programs, $18 trillion over 10 years. Is that sustainable given the economy, given where the budget is and the deadlock in Congress?
Andrea, that is not the reality, and we will be responding to the Wall Street Journal on that. I think most of the expense that they put in there, the expenditures, have to do with a single-payer health care system. They significantly exaggerated the cost of that, and they forgot to tell the American people in that article that that means eliminating the costs that you incur with private health insurance.
Pretty straightforward. The Wall Street Journal is full of shit. Now, not only that, but Gerald Friedman, who's an economist, whose analysis was actually used by the Wall Street Journal, saw this article and was like, whoa, 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 you misrepresenting what I wrote. In fact, he wrote an open letter to the Wall Street Journal, was posted in the Huffington Post, that explained how Sanders' single-payer healthcare proposal would actually save America $5 trillion over the next decade. I'm going to read some of that open letter. Quote, the journal correctly puts the additional federal spending for healthcare under H.R. 676, a single-payer healthcare plan, at $15 trillion over 10 years. It neglects to add, however, that by spending these vast sums, we would as a country save nearly $5 trillion over 10 years in reduced administrative waste. Wait, I thought big government was wasteful. Well, it turns out private corporations can also have levels and layers of bureaucracy that are incredibly inefficient. Not only that, lower pharmaceutical and device prices, and by lowering the rate of medical inflation. Remember, in America right now, it costs anywhere from $10 to $100 for a bag of saline, a bag of water. That's insanity. And yet we have zero power to negotiate with drug companies for prices. Well, under the Medicare for All plan, we could. Under Sanders' plan, we could. Now, he continues, these financial savings would be felt by businesses and state and local governments who would no longer be paying for health insurance for their employees. That actually saves the state money. Because now instead of the state paying for it, we pay for it through our tax money. Oh, what an amazing concept. Using your taxes to pay for something that benefits you. Amazing, right? Now, not only would the state not be paying for health insurance for their employees and by retirees and working Americans who would no longer have to pay for their health insurance or for co-payments and deductibles. Beyond these financial savings, he says, H.R. 676 would also save thousands of lives a year by expanding access to health care for the uninsured and underinsured. The economic benefits from Senator Sanders' proposal would be even greater than these static estimates because of a single-payer health plan would create dynamic gains by freeing American businesses to compete without the burden of an inefficient and wasteful health insurance system. Interesting. As with Senator Sanders' other proposals, the economic boom created by a single-payer healthcare plan, including the productivity boost coming from a more efficient healthcare system and a healthier population, would raise economic output and provide billions of dollars in additional tax revenues to offset some of the additional federal spending. Now, he also has a summary at the end of this. Because of the nearly $10 trillion in savings, it is possible to fund over $4.5 trillion in additional services while still reducing national healthcare spending by over $5 trillion. With these net savings, the additional $14.7 trillion in federal spending brings savings to the private sector and state and local governments of over $19.7 trillion. How do you like them apples? How do you like them facts? The Wall Street Journal, they don't like them facts. I think it's pretty obvious based on their name and their political leanings. Now, it's no surprise that the Wall Street Journal is going to write a hit piece on Bernie Sanders. I mean, in a Sanders presidency, the people that read the Wall Street Journal, primarily wealthier people, wealthy conservatives, would actually be forced to pay their fair share and actually have to follow the rules. Yeah, Wall Street would actually have to follow rules. Corporations would actually have to follow regulations when it comes to clean air, clean water, and regulations to prevent financial disaster, like in 2008. They hate that. They hate that. Now, of course, you had Andrea Mitchell, and this was sort of sad to see, but you had Andrea Mitchell on the so-called liberal MSNBC, but I guess they're not exactly liberal anymore, or at least they're not pretending to be liberal like they were before, taking everything the Wall Street Journal has to say as gospel. This is what's sad and pathetic about our media. Sad and pathetic. Now, there is one good thing to take from this. One good thing to take. And that this just shows that Bernie, they're starting to look at him more. They're starting to scrutinize him more. Which means they're actually starting to take him more seriously. He's not being written off anymore. And these attacks can only mean one thing. They're scared. Oh, they're scared. It's like that old saying. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win.